The colony world of was quiet in the early morning, but the silence did not feel calm. It felt tense, like the world itself was waiting for something to break. Commander Laura stood on the edge of the command platform inside the main defense tower and looked out at the sky through the wide glass window. The sky was still blue, but it did not comfort her. She felt something wrong deep inside her chest, as if the air was too heavy to breathe. Laura was not someone who panicked easily. She had served in many difficult posts and had seen colonies fall before, but she had never felt this exact kind of fear. Something was coming. She could feel it before the sensors even showed anything. Below the platform, officers worked in low voices. No one wanted to speak loudly. No one wanted to disturb the strange silence. Cole, a young engineer with quick hands and a tired face, rushed into the tower. His shirt was covered with dust from running across the outer maintenance rings. "Commander," he said, trying to catch his breath, "the scanners just picked up something. You should see it." Laura turned away from the window. "Show me." Hurried to the main console and typed fast. The display changed, showing a wave of red markers entering the system. Dozens of ships, then hundreds, each one sharp, angular, and aggressive. Laura felt her stomach twist. She said quietly. No one in the tower moved. No one needed to ask who they were. Every human in the galaxy knew the name. They attacked without warning. They never negotiated. They conquered entire sectors faster than most fleets could even travel. Forced himself to swallow. "Their numbers are high, Commander, too high. We don't have enough ships." Laura already knew that was a peaceful colony. They had only a small defense force, old ships, slow ships, and most of them were not ready for battle. "Send a message to all civilian districts," Laura said. "Tell them to prepare for evacuation." Officers nodded and began typing. Their hands shook. Outside, the sky changed color as the ships entered the upper atmosphere. They moved like blades, sharp and silent. Their hulls were black, marked with glowing symbols that shifted like fire. Their engines hummed with a deep sound that made the air itself vibrate. The colony alarms began to ring. Families hurried from their homes. Children cried. Evacuation transports lifted off the ground one after another, but everyone knew there were not enough transports. There were never enough when an attack happened this fast. Laura kept her eyes on the displays. "Activate the planetary shields." A low hum filled the tower. Outside, a transparent dome formed over the city, glowing faintly. It was strong, but not strong enough to stop a full invasion. "They are charging weapons," said. They did not wait. A bright beam of energy shot down from one of their ships and hit the shield. The entire world shook. People stumbled and grabbed onto walls. Dust fell from the ceiling. "Shields at 70%, an officer called. "Fire back," Laura ordered. The colony defense cannons shot blue streams of energy upward. A few beams struck ships, but the enemy ships barely reacted. Their armor was too advanced. Their formation too perfect. Another beam hit the shield, then another. Each strike made the dome flicker. "Shields at 50%. Tightened his jaw. "Commander, if the shield fails, the city will be exposed. We need more power." Laura nodded. "Go, do what you can." Ran out of the tower, down the stairs, and toward the main reactor building. His heart pounded, but he kept going. He had to keep the power grid alive. It was the only thing slowing the enemy. In the sky, the fleet moved closer. Their mothership, massive and shaped like a jagged spear, drifted directly above the colony. It began charging its main weapon. Light gathered at the tip like a star being born. The shield dropped to 30%. Laura's voice shook for the first time. "Prepare for last-line defense." Officers looked back at her with fear in their eyes. They all knew what that meant. It was the order given when defeat was certain. Outside reached the reactor. He slid down a ladder, crawled under sparking cables, and forced open a stuck panel. He pushed the power levels higher than they were meant to go. Warning lights flashed everywhere, but he ignored them. He felt heat burn his hands but kept going. The shields rose slightly, not enough to save the colony, but enough to delay the end. Back in the tower, Laura watched the countdown on the mothership's weapon. 10 seconds. 9. 8. She closed her eyes for a moment. She did not want to die. She did not want her people to die, but she had no more options. The weapon was ready. The sky glowed white. And then everything stopped. The glow did not strike. The weapon did not fire. Instead, the entire fleet turned its sensors to something else, something behind them, something far out in the darkness of space. "Commander," an officer whispered, "something is forming at the edge of the system." Laura opened her eyes. On screen, a new display lit up. Far beyond the colony, in the deep black of space, a strange distortion appeared. It looked like a ripple in water but stretched across stars. It expanded slowly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Still working in the reactor room, heard the update on the communication link. He paused, confused. What is that? No one had an answer. The distortion grew bigger. Lights flickered across its surface. Then shapes formed inside it, sharp outlines at first, then solid metal. A hull, engines. A massive ship coming into existence like a shadow stepping into the light. Laura stared in disbelief. Is that human? Sensors tried to read the new arrival, but the data came back broken. The ship carried human transponder patterns, but none matched known records. Its design was unfamiliar. Its silhouette dark and smooth, with no bright markings, only a faint glow around its edges. They noticed it too. They began turning their ships toward the new arrival. A bright beam shot toward it. The beam hit the ship and vanished. Not exploded, not reflected. It simply disappeared into the hull like a drop of water falling into the ocean. Everyone watching froze. "Commander," an officer whispered, "that is impossible." The mysterious ship slowly turned its bow toward the fleet. Its engines pulsed like a heartbeat. Its surface shimmered like it was made of living metal. A single voice broadcast across every channel. The voice was calm, steady, human. "This is the horizon. Stand down." Laura felt her breath catch, stopped working and stared at the speaker in shock. The entire colony listened in complete silence. They did not stand down. They fired again. The horizon finally moved. Its engines flared, cutting through the darkness like a rising sun. It accelerated forward, silent and smooth, as if space itself made way for it. Laura felt something strange in her chest, a feeling she had not felt since the beginning of the attack. Hope. She did not know who controlled the horizon. She did not know where it came from. She did not know how a ship like that even existed. But she knew one thing for sure. They were not alone anymore. The horizon moved through space with a calm and steady motion, like it was not rushing into a battle, but simply stepping into a place it already understood. Commander Laura watched the unknown ship with eyes full of disbelief. She had seen many human ships in her life, but nothing like this. The horizon looked alive, almost like it was shaped by something more than metal and machinery. "Do we have any detailed scans yet?" Laura asked. An officer shook his head. "None of our systems can read it clearly. It is blocking or bending every scan we send out. But we did confirm one thing. Its energy signature is human, or at least very close to human." Laura stared at the display. A ship that looked human but could not be scanned was almost impossible. But it was there, moving with a confidence that made even the pull back. The fleet shifted formation. They no longer focused on the colony. Their attention was fully on the horizon. Several of their ships moved forward, forming a shield wall in front of the mothership. Cole heard the updates from the reactor room. He sat on the floor beside a humming power core, his hands still shaking from the stress of keeping the shield alive. He wiped sweat from his forehead and leaned closer to the comm device. "Is it really human?" he asked. Laura's voice came through the channel. It says it is, but I do not know more than that. Let out a slow breath. It came from nothing. It formed in the dark like a ghost. That is not normal human tech. I know, Laura replied. Outside the tower, the horizon finally stopped moving. It floated between the fleet and placing itself like a barrier. Then bright lines of light appeared all across its hull, slow at first, then growing brighter. The light did not look like standard weapon systems. It looked like veins of energy waking up. They did not wait to see what the horizon planned. They fired the first shot. A massive beam shot forward from the flagship, bright and violent. The beam hit the horizon directly. Nothing happened. The light simply faded into the ship's surface and vanished. Officers in the tower gasped. "How is that possible?" someone whispered. Laura did not answer. She had no answer. Then the horizon responded. A single blast of energy shot from its hull. It did not explode. It did not burn. Instead, it created a wave. The wave passed through space like a soft ripple. When it reached the shield wall, every ship hit by the wave flickered, lost engine power, and stopped moving. They were not destroyed. They were disabled. His eyes widened. I have never seen a human ship do that. Laura felt a thin line of hope grow in her heart. It is holding back. It is not killing them. A second wave followed and more ships shut down. Several lost control and drifted into one another. The fleet was in chaos. But the mothership did not retreat. It launched dozens of attack drones, small and fast. They swarmed toward the horizon like angry insects. The horizon released a soft pulse of blue light. Every drone fell apart into dust. The colonists watching from windows across began to cheer. They had never seen the lose a battle. They had never seen the afraid. But now they looked afraid. In the command tower, Laura finally activated the long-range communication channel. "Horizon, this is Commander Laura of Colony. Can you hear me?" A moment passed, then the same calm voice replied. "We hear you." The voice sounded warm, steady, human. But there was something strange in it too, something distant, like it had traveled a long time. "Who are you?" Laura asked. "We are the Horizon." Laura took a slow breath. "What is your mission?" There was a pause before the reply came. "The protection of humanity wherever needed." Laura frowned. "Whose fleet are you part of? You do not match any recorded design." This time the pause was longer. "We do not belong to a fleet. We were made for a purpose. That is enough." The answer made a cold shiver run down Laura's spine. Ships were not supposed to speak like that. Ships did not say things like, "We were made for a purpose." Another officer whispered, "Is that even a real crew, or something else?" Laura did not want to guess. They finally tried to escape. Their mothership turned away, engines glowing bright. The remaining ships followed. But the horizon moved faster. It flew forward in a smooth arc, cutting off their escape path. Its hull flashed once. A bright ring of light expanded from its center. When the ring hit the engines, every one of them shut off. The entire fleet drifted, powerless. Not destroyed. Just stopped. Whispered it could have killed them all. Why didn't it? Laura answered softly, "Because it did not want to." They had no choice now. Their weapons were useless, their engines dead, their formation broken. The horizon hovered beside them, silent and unmoving. The calm voice spoke again. "Vessels, you will leave this system. You will not return. If you return, we will end your fleet." The mothership sent out a message in their harsh language. The horizon replied with a single pulse of light. Whatever that signal was, it convinced Their ship slowly turned away, still powerless, using only backup thrusters to drift into the void. The battle was over. Was saved. But the horizon did not leave. Laura stared at the ship. Why is it staying? If its mission was to protect us, then the job is done. joined her on the tower platform. His clothes were burned and his face was dirty, but he stood tall. "Maybe it wants to talk to us," he said. Laura shook her head. No, it refused to explain anything. "Maybe it will now," replied quietly. Down below, children began returning from shelters. Families stood together and looked up at the silent ship in the sky. For the first time since the attack began, people smiled. The horizon slowly lowered its altitude. It did not land, but hovered above the colony. Small objects separated from its hull and floated downward. "What are those?" Laura asked. An officer zoomed in on the display. "Drones, but they look different from human drones or drones." The drones reached the surface and spread out across the colony. They moved with gentle, careful motions. They repaired broken power lines. They sealed damaged buildings. They restored the shield generators. They even repaired water pipes under the streets. Stared with wide eyes. They are rebuilding the colony. Hours passed. The drones worked non-stop. No one tried to stop them. No one wanted to. Finally, the calm voice of the horizon spoke again. "Your world is stabilized. Your people are safe." Laura took a deep breath. "Horizon, please, tell us who commands you. Tell us where you came from." Silence. The ship hovered there, quiet, almost thoughtful. Then the voice returned. "We serve, that is enough." Laura stepped closer to the microphone. "Will you stay? Will you help defend?" Another pause. "Our work here is done. There are other places that need us." His heart sank. "So you are leaving?" "Yes." Laura felt a mix of relief and sadness. The horizon had saved them. It had protected them. It had given them hope when they had none. But it was not theirs. The horizon began to rise into the sky. Its hull grew brighter for a moment, glowing like a small star. The drones returned to it and merged back into the ship. As it climbed higher, the calm voice spoke one last time. "Remember this, you are not alone, and you will never be alone again." Then the ship turned toward the dark edge of space. And just as suddenly as it had appeared, it vanished. The sky became quiet again. Stood beside Laura, looking up. "Do you think we will see it again?" he asked. Laura watched the stars, where the horizon had disappeared. "I do not know," she said softly, "but I hope so." She placed a hand on the railing and let out a long breath. The threat was gone. Their world was safe. But one truth remained clear in her mind. The horizon was not just a ship. It was a promise and a warning. Whatever it was, whatever it served, it would return when humanity needed it. Somewhere far beyond what they could see, the horizon flew into the darkness, searching for the next place where hope was fading, and ready to bring light again. The disappearance of the horizon left in a quiet and heavy atmosphere. The colony was safe, the people were alive, and the threat was gone, but something else lingered in the air. It was not fear. It was not confusion. It was a feeling no one could fully describe. It was the feeling of being watched over by something powerful and unknown. Commander Laura stepped out of the defense tower and looked at the sky. The sun was rising over the horizon of the colony, painting the damaged buildings with soft orange light. Workers and drones from the colony moved slowly across the ground, repairing what was left. People greeted each other with tired smiles. Children ran through the streets again. But even with the calm morning, Laura could not stop thinking about the horizon. Cole walked beside her, his tools hanging from his belt as he carried a filled with repair lists. "You did not sleep, did you?" he asked. Laura shook her head. "No." "Me neither," admitted. "I kept thinking about that ship. It was like nothing I have ever seen. It was like nothing humans should be able to build." Laura stopped walking and looked at him. "You said something yesterday. You said the ship looked like it was alive. Do you think it was a living machine?" Hesitated. "I do not know. The way the hull moved felt strange. The way their energy patterns changed did not follow normal rules. It reminded me of biological systems, but that is impossible. Humans do not build ships like that. Laura placed her hands on her hips and remembered the calm voice. It sounded human, but it also sounded like it came from something more than a person. Before she could say anything else, the communication channel on her wrist vibrated. "Commander, this is Officer Riley. You need to come to the tower right away. We picked up a strange signal." Laura exchanged a quick look with, then turned and ran back toward the tower. When she reached the command room, several officers were staring at the main screen. A single blinking dot was shown, far outside but still inside the system. "What is that?" Laura asked. Riley pointed at the signal. "It is coming from a satellite we thought was destroyed during the attack. It must have restored itself after the Horizon left. The signal looks like a message packet." Leaned forward. "Is it from the Horizon?" "No," Riley said. "The data format is old, very old. It looks like a beacon from a human exploration probe from more than 80 years ago." Laura frowned. "Why would it activate now?" Riley shook his head. "We do not know, but the message is repeating, and it is definitely human." Slowly returned to the screen. "What does it say?" The officer pressed a button. A static-filled voice echoed through the room. "This is Explorer Probe 7. We have made contact with." Static. "Unknown signal source. Not human." More static. "Technology beyond current understanding. We believe." Static again. "Origin of unknown human ship." Laura's eyes widened. "Origin of unknown human ship." The message ended there. The room fell silent. Whispered, "The Horizon. It must be talking about the Horizon." Laura walked closer to the screen. "Replay it." The message repeated, but nothing more came from the probe. It was too damaged or too old. "Where is this probe?" Laura asked. Riley zoomed the map. "On the far side of the system, near the outer dust rings. It is not far, but the trip is long in normal colony ships." Looked at Laura. "We should go there. We need to know what the Horizon is." Laura nodded slowly, but she felt uneasy. If that probe found something that might also be interested, we have to be careful. Before they could decide anything further, the ground shook under their feet. The lights flickered. "What was that?" an officer shouted. The screen changed again. Multiple red markers appeared on the edge of the system. Felt his blood turn cold. No, they came back. A smaller fleet this time, but still dangerous. They had returned. Laura's voice hardened. "Alert the colony. Bring all defense systems online." The officers moved quickly, but something was different this time. The colony was damaged, weaker, tired. The shields were partially restored, but not strong enough. The ships moved quickly toward. This time they were angry. They moved with a fury they did not show before. Looked at Laura. "We cannot fight them without the Horizon." The word stopped in his throat. Because something strange happened. The ship stopped moving. Every ship in the fleet froze mid-flight. Then their lights flickered. Then they changed course. They turned away from. "What is happening?" Riley asked. Laura stared at the screen. "Are they retreating?" "No," said. "They are not retreating, they are being pulled." The ships moved toward the dust rings, the exact place where the old probe was sending its message. Spoke again, his voice shaking. "Something is calling them, something powerful enough to control their ships." Laura clenched her fists. "Then we need to go there, now." Within minutes, Laura boarded the colony's fastest scout ship, It was small, old, and slower than the Horizon by many levels, but it was the best they had. The ship lifted into the sky, engines glowing faintly. Sat in the co-pilot seat and checked the systems. "Engines stable, shields at half power. We do not have many weapons." Laura took a deep breath. We are not going to fight, we are going to find answers. They left behind and flew into the deep space of the system. For hours they traveled through the dark, silent void. The dust rings appeared ahead like a pale cloud stretching across the stars. As they entered the ring, their scanners flickered with interference. Something is jamming the systems, said. Laura slowed the engines. Keep manual control, we cannot trust the sensors now. Inside the dust ring, visibility dropped. Small particles drifted like smoke, coating the ship and scratching against the hull. Leaned forward. Wait, I see something, look there. A small object floated in the dust. It was old, rusted, and covered in scratches. The probe, said softly. Explorer Probe 7. Laura brought the ship closer. The probe was barely functioning. Its lights blinked weakly. Parts of it were broken. Can we pull its memory files? Laura asked. Connected a tether, I will try. While he worked, Laura looked through the front window. Then she saw something else. A shadow in the distance. Large, unmoving, like a giant structure hidden in the dust. She whispered, look. Looked up and his breath stopped. A massive object rested inside the dust ring. Not a ship, not a station, something far older. Its surface was smooth and dark with patterns glowing faintly. What is that? Whispered. Before Laura could answer, a soft vibration filled the. Then a voice echoed inside the ship. A calm voice. A familiar voice. You should not be here. Laura froze. Horizon. The voice replied, we warned you. There are things here that should not be touched. Swallowed. What is that structure? The voice was quiet for a moment. It is the place where we were made, and it must remain hidden. Laura gripped the controls tightly. Why? Why did you hide this place? Why did you not tell us? The Horizon answered slowly, almost sadly. Because humanity is not ready to know who created us, and because they seek the same truth. His eyes widened. They are coming here right now. Yes, they were called, the Horizon said, not by us, by what sleeps in that structure. Laura felt her heart pound. Then we need to destroy it, or protect it, or... No, the Horizon said, you need to leave now. The dust around the ship began to move, as if something huge was waking up. Lights appeared inside the ancient structure. Then another voice, deep, cold, and alien, whispered through the. We have waited, humans. Grab the console. Commander, something is activating. This whole ring is reacting to us. Laura stared at the structure. Then the Horizon appeared. It came out of the dust like a rising storm, brighter than before, its hull glowing with sharp lines. Leave now, the Horizon said. We will contain this. Laura shook her head. We cannot leave you. You must. The thing inside that structure is older than us, older than and it will destroy everything if it wakes. The ancient structure cracked. A beam of dark energy shot upward. Shouted, Commander, we need to go. Laura hesitated, but only for a moment. She pulled the ship upward. They fled out of the dust ring as massive waves of energy burst behind them. The Horizon stayed behind. Its voice echoed one last time. Remember, we protect humanity wherever needed. Then the dust ring exploded with light. Laura shielded their eyes. When the light faded, the structure was gone. And the Horizon was nowhere to be seen. The return journey was silent. They moved through the empty space with slow, steady motion. Laura sat in the pilot's seat, her hands tense on the controls. Cole sat beside her, staring at the window even though he could not see anything beyond the darkness. Neither of them spoke for a long time. They were both thinking the same thing. The Horizon had disappeared. The ancient structure had been destroyed. The dust ring had been shaken apart. The ships had vanished as if pulled into nothing. And the one ship that had protected them, The one ship that had saved them was gone. After many minutes, finally whispered, "Do you think it survived?" Laura wanted to say yes. She wanted to believe that the horizon was too powerful, too strange, too important to be destroyed. But she also remembered the way the dust ring exploded with intense, silent light. "I do not know," she replied softly. They entered its orbit hours later. The colony looked small and fragile from above, its repaired structures shining faintly in the morning sun. It was peaceful again, but the calm felt hollow. When Laura landed, a group of officers and workers waited for them. Families had gathered outside the landing pad. Everyone wanted to know what had happened in the dust ring. As stepped down the ramp, a small child ran to him and hugged his leg. "Did the big ship come back?" the child asked. Forced a smile. "Not yet, but maybe it will." Laura approached the crowd and raised her hand. "We will speak in the tower. There is much to explain." Inside the command tower, the officers gathered around the main table. Laura stood at the front with beside her. "We found an old human probe," Laura began. "The probe found something, a structure hidden in the dust ring, something older than any human or technology." Officers exchanged worried looks. "Something inside the structure was waking," added. "It called to the fleet. It was not human and it was not friendly." Riley stepped forward. "What happened to it?" Laura took a deep breath. "The horizon destroyed it. It stayed behind and stopped whatever was inside, but we do not know what happened to the ship afterward. We lost all signals." A heavy silence filled the tower. Lowered his eyes. "We owe our lives to the horizon again. Without it, the and that thing would have reached us." One officer asked, "So the horizon is gone?" Laura closed her eyes for a moment before answering. "We do not know, but we cannot assume the worst. Ships like that do not disappear so easily." Looked at her. "Commander, what do we do now?" Laura opened her eyes and looked at everyone in the room. "We rebuild, we protect our world, and we prepare for whatever else is out there." The meeting continued for hours. Plans were made. Engineers began designing stronger shields. Workers prepared new satellite networks. Families organized supply lines. Everyone worked with a new kind of seriousness. The people knew now that the galaxy was much larger and more dangerous than they believed. When the meeting ended, walked out to the colony's main square. He sat on a bench, rubbing his eyes. His body felt heavy with exhaustion. He looked up at the sky. "If you are still out there," he whispered, "please come back." A soft wind blew through the streets. Days passed. Weeks passed. Repairs continued, grew stronger. New defenses were built. New scanners were installed. Life slowly returned to normal. But every night, families looked at the stars. Waiting. Hopping. One night walked alone to the edge of the colony, where the land met the quiet open fields. He lay down in the grass and watched the sky, his thoughts drifting. He remembered the calm voice of the horizon. He remembered the light on its hull. He remembered how it stood between humanity and destruction. He missed it. Hours later, Laura found him still lying there. "You should be sleeping," she said. Sat up. "I know. I keep thinking about the horizon." Laura sat beside him. "So do I." Looked at her. "Do you think we will ever know who created it, or why it was made?" Laura sighed. "Maybe one day, but maybe it is better that we do not know. Maybe knowing too much too soon can be dangerous." They both sat in silence, listening to the quiet sounds of the night. Then the quiet changed. The ground hummed. Lifted his head. "Do you feel that?" Laura stood up. "Yes, something is vibrating." The humming grew stronger. Lights flickered across the colony buildings. The scanners in the tower activated on their own. Then the night sky split with a soft ripple. A distortion formed, just like the one that brought the horizon the first time. Gasped, "No way." The distortion grew larger. Beams of soft blue light spread across the sky like a curtain opening. Then a silhouette formed. Smooth, massive, silent. The horizon stepped out of the darkness once again. Fell to his knees in shock. Laura smiled with relief. It survived. The horizon hovered above. Its hull glowed in new patterns, brighter and more complex. It looked repaired. No, it looked upgraded. A calm voice echoed across every speaker in the colony. "We have returned." People ran out of their homes. Workers dropped their tools. Children pointed at the sky. The entire colony gathered outside, staring up at the ship that had become a legend. Laura raised her wrist communicator. "Horizon, can you hear me?" "We hear you." Stood up and shouted, "Are you all right? What happened to you?" The horizon answered, "We faced an ancient threat, we survived, and we learned." Laura stepped forward. "What did you learn?" The horizon paused. "There are more structures like the one in the dust ring, more dangers to seek, and more truths humanity is not yet ready to face." The crowd listened in silence. The horizon continued, "We will stay near your world, not to command, not to rule, but to watch and protect. Will be a signal point, a place where we will return when needed." Inhaled sharply, "You are staying." "We will remain close," the horizon replied. "You are not alone, and you will never be alone again." Laura felt warmth grow in her chest. "Thank you." The ship's lights dimmed softly, like a gentle nod. Then the horizon lowered a small, orb-shaped drone. It floated toward the colony square and landed in front of Laura. She knelt and touched it. "What is this?" she asked. "A gift," the horizon said. "It will help you grow stronger. It contains knowledge, tools, designs. Use them wisely." Bent down to look at the orb. "This will change everything." "Yes," the horizon said, "that is the purpose." The orb opened slowly, revealing a small glowing device inside. It emitted a soft hum like a heartbeat. Laura stood up and faced the ship. "We will protect this world, Horizon, and we will honor your trust." The horizon replied, "We believe in you." The ship rose higher into the sky, then settled into a watchful position above the colony, like a guardian star. The people have cheered. Wiped his eyes. Laura smiled. Hope returned to the world. Not because the horizon arrived, but because it stayed. The galaxy would face many dangers in the years to come. Ancient forces would rise. They would fight again, but would never face those threats alone. Because whenever the darkness gathered, the horizon would return.